Browns at Saints. By a split score of 10.1 favors the Saints. The Saints are, is it enigmatic? Is that a good description for the Saints? The
What's
Browns, I
that?
don't know what the heck's going on. So I'm gonna let you just tell me about this one.
Yeah. In case anybody was wondering, didn't we talk about the new head coach bump? Did you hear anybody talking about the new head coach bump, quote
No.
unquote? That's what it's called. When a team fires a coach mid-season and they bring in a new head coach, and
Oh, that one. Then the team plays better.
the team plays out of their minds for the new guy.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we got here. It's a real thing.
Oh,
And
Saints. That's right. Saints got
yes,
coach, right?
an actual case of it took place in New Orleans this past weekend as interim head coach Darren Rizzi, who originally was the special teams coach, led the Saints to a division win over the NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons. It came in front of their hometown fans at the Superdome, and it broke a 7-game losing streak. Boy, did they need that win really bad. Now, with the Saints up in the game 20-17 and 2 minutes left, the Falcons were driving. But Tyrann Mathieu, the old honey badger, I couldn't believe he's still around. I forgot he was still in the league, man. The honey badger intercepted Kirk Cousins. But the Saints' ensuing drive, Alvin Kamara, with some great hands for a running back, dropped a wide open pass running up the sideline, right on the money. And they actually had to punt the ball back to Atlanta, giving them another chance to win. Uh, they lost 10 yards on a Chase Young sack, which basically saved New Orleans' butts, and they got stopped on downs, and that sealed the Saints' win. Now, the Cleveland Browns are coming off the bye. Last time we saw them, they were getting handled by the Chargers at home 27-10. I don't like the Browns here. I don't like the Browns anymore. In fact, I'm going to go with the Saints to carry on and get something going and beat the Browns.
All right. Going with the bias. Going with the Saints. Colts at Jets. By a split score of 3.8 favors the Colts.
Oh boy.
What can I tell you about those Jets? Jets? Any
Yeah.
team I had any family that played for?
Well, the first thing I'll tell you is they're 3-7, but the Colts are 4-6. And I found out earlier today that they've decided to go back to Anthony Richardson at quarterback. I don't know why, nor do I know why they didn't put him back in after they benched him for that game that he got benched in when he supposedly tapped out. I have no clue what they're thinking, so I'm not even going to try to speculate on this one. But for all the naysayers and non-believers out there looking for a surprisingly good starter to turn into a pumpkin, I found one for you. His name is Joe Flacco. Listen to this. 2 starts, both losses, 6 turnovers, and only 2 touchdowns in those 2 losses. He threw 3 interceptions in a 30-20 loss to the Bills, and the Colts defense isn't holding up their end of the bargain either. They did intercept Josh Allen twice, but with the offense turning the ball over one time themselves, that actually got turned into a field goal. They squandered the other one on a turnover on downs, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. That's not going to get it done on Josh Allen. You got to get to him a little bit more than that. 2 sacks, not good enough, not enough pressure. And they ended up losing that game. So, boy, this is a tough one. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, speaking of pumpkins, how about that Aaron Rodgers, huh? After breaking a 5-game losing streak with a surprising win over the Houston Texans in week 9, Rodgers talked the talk about seizing the momentum and lighting the spark and getting the fire going and all that good stuff. And then he went out and went 22 of 35 for a measly 151 yards. No touchdowns, and he lost a fumble. Oh, yeah. Remember that Super Bowl caliber Jets defense that everybody's been talking about for 2 years? They recorded 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits on Kyler Murray, who's way too fast for anybody on that defense. Not to mention, the Cardinals' offensive skill players all got to pad their stats in this game. 31-6 bashing of the Jets. I tell you, if Flacco was still playing in this game, I would take the Colts. But I can't with Anthony Richardson. I don't know what to make of this dude, man. One thing I know for sure, being a fantasy player, when Flacco was in, the receivers on the Colts got good fantasy numbers. When Richardson is in, they don't. I don't like the way that sounds. I'm going to take the Jets to win this one at home.
Going against the bias, going with the Jets, Jets. Okay, Ben.
Yes.
See, breaking away here.
Yeah, I can't do that again. I can't go with the bias every time.
Well, now, Benny, we have the Packers at the Bears. Guess who the bias favors? 2.3 score favors the Packers. Caleb Williams, Jordan Love.
This is a big rivalry game.
Big matchup, right?
Yeah, big NFC North division matchup. It's in Chicago, and we know how much this Bears fans hate the Packers, especially after Brett Favre used to come in there and kill them all the time, and then Aaron Rodgers used to beat them, and then in his post-game interview talk about how he owns them and all that stuff. So yeah, this is going to be Bears fans are going to be looking for blood, but both of these teams needed a win last week to right the ship. The Packers needed one to get rid of that bad taste in their mouths after that loss to the Lions in their home stadium in the rain. The Lions' first game outside, and they lost the game to the Lions 24-14. Throughout the game, they had several opportunities that they squandered or just came up small in. They had 3 drives inside the Lions 30. This is pretty pitiful. And we're talking about the Green Bay Packers here. They had 3 drives inside the Lions 35-yard line. They came away with 0 points. They drove into the red zone 4 times, and of those 4 times, they got 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. Got to do better than that. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits, and 0 takeaways. The defense was of no help to these guys. That's the Green Bay Packers, really? Very ugly. Now, the Bears, who in my opinion weren't exactly standing on solid ground anyway, have regressed very badly in the 2 weeks after losing to the Commanders on that Jaden Daniels Hail Mary. That took their souls. That Hail Mary really hurt them more than we probably thought it did. They got housed by Arizona 29-9 in week 9. And this past weekend, they got outplayed at home by the then 2-7 New England Patriots. Jesus, 19-3. In the first half, they were able to finish a drive with a 23-yard field goal. The other 10 possessions that they had in the entire game resulted in 8 punts. 4 of those punts came on 3 and outs. They had 2 turnovers on downs. Oh, you can't get much worse than that. Oh, yeah. Their OC got fired, Shane Waldron. Sheesh. Caramba. All right, so the Bears' offense is in disarray. I think the Packers will bounce back. I'm going to go with the bias, go with the Packers.
Going with the bias, going with the Packers over the Bears. Jaguars at Lions, Benny. It's a cat fight. Bias plus score 25.2 favors the Lions.
The cat fight.
You know something, Benny?
What's that?
I watched that Lions game last week, right?
Yeah.
And that was my intriguing game. No, it wasn't. It was, but
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. I'm sorry. It was the Commanders game. But I'm watching it with great intrigue And
Right.
I'm seeing the Lions going down, and I'm like, well, every team gets to throw a stinker in there every once in a while. This must be their stinker game, right? Five
Yep.
INTs. So I go to bed. Next day I get up. One.
They won?
And what? So I went back and I looked at the game.
Okay.
And if there's one thing I want to say about it, they never abandoned the run.
Right.
That balanced attack, the entire second half,
Mm-hmm.
they got it going. And I was like, so many teams would be like, okay, drop back and let's see if we get back in this game.
Right.
But their run is kind of like the Ravens run. They get good yardage on, they get pass type yardage on a lot of their runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, so go ahead, do your thing on
And
this.
in the days of running back by committee, they have a true thunder and lightning combo.
Yeah.
So that helps them quite a bit. They can come at you in a lot of different ways. Um, now, Jaguars got to go to Detroit to play the Lions. We got two teams here that are clearly moving in opposite directions. Jacksonville at home against Minnesota last week was led by quarterback Mac Jones. Old Mac and Cheese is still around because Trevor Lawrence is hurt. And near the end of the first quarter, Jones was able to complete a drive with a 1-yard touchdown run. After that, they fell victim to the stingy Minnesota defense, and they never registered another point. They got destroyed in time of possession, and I do mean destroyed. A lot of times you hear me say, this team controlled the clock. This team got really punished badly in time of possession. They had the ball for 17 minutes and 41 seconds. That's a 60-minute game. They had the ball for 17 minutes and 41 seconds. The rest of the time, their defense was on the field. And even though Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions, they weren't able to take advantage, and Jones threw 2 himself, and he lost a fumble. The final score was 12-7, which was really weird, considering the lopsidedness of the time of possession and the statistics and all that. But I'll talk more about that when I talk about the Vikings later. But the Jaguars defense had little or nothing to do with the fact that the score seemed to be that close. Now, the Lions, who you just talked about, they traveled to Houston for Sunday Night Football Showdown against the Houston Texans. It was not Jared Allen's finest hour by far. He threw a career high,
Jared
5
Allen.
interceptions. Excuse me?
To Jared Allen.
Did I say Jared Allen?
Yeah.
I still got Josh Allen on my mind. Jared Goff's finest hour was not his finest hour. He threw a career high 5 interceptions, 1 in the first quarter and 2 in the second quarter. And at halftime, they were trailing 23-7. I think I went to sleep on this one. Yeah, I think I was like, oh man, Houston got these boys. They're going to go down. But anyway, Goff threw 2 more in the third quarter, but the Lions scored 16 straight points and tied the score at 23 on a Jake Bates field goal with 5 minutes left in the game. The Lions defense held the Texans on their next drive, and their kicker, Kaimi Fairbairn, I love that name, Kaimi Fairbairn, missed a 58-yard field goal, and that cleared the way for the Lions' final drive, and they won it with a Jake Bates 52-yard field goal as time expired. Sign of a great team, right? Make a lot of mistakes, have turnovers, still pull out the win. Got to go with the Lions.
So Benny,
Yes.
check this out. That was a record, the record for road games that are won with 5 interceptions, right? So Jared Goff did it.
You said it that time.
Yeah, Jared Gallen. Goff did it on Sunday. Before that, had been done 3 other times. In 2007, Tony Romo did it against the Bills.
Wow.
Wait. Now we're going to take a jump in time. In 1962,
Woo!
George Blanda did it against the Bills.
George Blanda of the Oakland Raiders?
George Blanda. Okay.
Wow.
Wait, Benny. We're going to drop back another 20, almost 20 years. 1944, Fradke Sinkwich.
Okay, you got me on
Fradke
that one.
Sinkwich did it against the Rams.
You got me on that one. Sheesh.
But
Well,
that's the only.
tell you this about George Blanda. Not only was he able to throw 5 interceptions and still lead a comeback to the win, but he was the quarterback and he was the kicker.
Right, back in the day.
Woo!
Yeah, man.
All right.
That was something, man. So, bias plus score 25.2 favors the Lions. Ben's going with the bias. All right, Benny. Vikings at Titans. Bias plus score 22.7 favors the Vikings. All right, Benny, quick question.
Yes.
Sam Darnold starting to resemble a pumpkin just a little bit.
Well, let me tell you something about that game, okay? Because I'm not ready to put that one on him.
Okay.
Not completely anyway. But anyhow, we'll talk about the Titans first. They're only 2-7, but they will be the home team. Will Levis is back from his shoulder injury. He threw two, which tells you a whole lot about what they think about Mason Rudolph. But anyway,
Yeah, arm
uh,
fall off going in there. Going out, Mason.
anyway, he threw 2 touchdown passes. Both of them went to Calvin Ridley. And they were nice passes and catches too. They were very exciting plays. I remember seeing those on Red Zone. Um, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, and Levis all put together for 132 yards total on the ground. But the Titans defense had no answer for the Chargers and their punishing run game. And basically they just fell. They just crumbled. The Chargers beat them 27-17. I don't think the game was really as close as the score might indicate. They got pummeled, man. They had no chance. The Vikings game against the Jaguars, like I was saying, was kind of weird. The Vikings dominated every part of the game except on the scoreboard. They won the game, but the score was only 12-7. Now, tell me if this makes sense. This team piled up 402 total yards, 28 first downs, 82 offensive plays in 42 minutes. Remember I said the Jaguars had the ball for 17 minutes? They had the ball for 42 minutes and they put up 12 points. I don't understand it.
And how many
I would
turnovers?
turnovers. I don't think they had any turnovers. They didn't have any turnovers. The defense was stifling. They forced 3 sacks, 3 takeaways, 5 3-and-outs, and 8 tackles for loss. I don't know what to say.
3 and outs. I don't count them like interceptions yet, quantitatively, but qualitatively I do. It's like
Yeah, it's demoralizing.
yeah,
But I do look at turnovers on downs. I look at those like takeaways.
right, exactly.
Yeah. 3 and out is just you come off the field and the coach looks at you like, you know what I mean? So yeah, Titans will be home, but they don't stand much of a chance against a great defense like the Vikings. Brian Flores seems to have fixed whatever the heck was wrong with them a week or so ago. So I'm definitely going to go with the Vikings. And hopefully we'll see Sam Darnold bounce back and give us a nice quality win.
All right, so you're going with the bias again, eh, Benny?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I tell you. Okay, well, next up, Raiders at Dolphins. Bias plus score of 8.3 favors the Dolphins. This is one of the games where the bias was wrong last week. And I think I had mentioned to you that had we been using more or just the latest numbers for the Dolphins, that the matchup would have looked a bit different.
Right.
Because Tua's back, baby. And that whole team looks like it's taking a step up. So the bias plus score of 8.3 favors the Dolphins. Who's starting for the Raiders this week?
I think we're back to Minshew. I think what's his face hurt his finger, and I haven't heard anything. I tell you the truth, I haven't really been listening out for no Raiders info. But when I start putting my fantasy lineups in, I'll take a peek. Yes, the Dolphins did get their QB back. Tua is back. However, he wasn't able to lead them to victory against the division rival Bills. On Monday Night Football in LA, they were able to grind out a victory over the Rams. I was surprised at this game. I took the Rams. I thought the Rams would handle them. Tua tossed an interception, and he lost a fumble, but he did complete a touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill, and he got a touchdown on the ground from rookie wide receiver Malik Washington. I think that was on a jet sweep or something. He also got 3 field goals from Jason Sanders. And defensively, the Dolphins weren't dominant, but they made it tough for the Rams. Now, I'll tell you the truth. I want to say I really like the Rams. I really like their offense. I like their head coach. I want to say it was more the Rams not playing their game than the Dolphins really affecting their game. But I have to give the Dolphins defense credit. They stopped the Rams from coming from behind. They had 2 takeaways. They did have 4 sacks. They did hit Stafford 6 times, and they had 7 tackles for loss. And when you get tackles for loss against the Rams, you stop one of their really big weapons. Like everybody knows about Puka and everybody knows about Cooper Kupp. But Kyron Williams is a huge weapon on the ground for the Rams. And if you can slow him down, you got a good chance of handling the Rams. So I think that's part of what happened there. Now, the Raiders are coming off the bye. Last time we saw them, they were getting 41 put on them by the Bengals. So I don't expect too much more from them, regardless of who starts. So I definitely would have to take the Dolphins in this one. And they're back home in the good weather. And Tua has another game under his belt. So, yeah, go with the Dolphins.
Yeah, looking at just some points scored for 2024 overall, Miami was at one point 31st, only scoring 15.5 points per game. But in the last 3, they're scoring 21.3 points per game. And that last one, they put up 27. So, yeah, the numbers are climbing with Tua, strengthening my argument that Tua needs to be in the conversation with MVP.
He's in the conversation for MVP of the Dolphins, as far as I'm concerned.
You said that last week. I think he's MVP quality. Okay. All right. So
he won't be if he throws a pick and tries to make the tackle again. What the heck was that?
I know.
Dude, I'm going, nah.
And you know what's funny? I think it's A-Chan. Where's the special helmet thing?
Yeah, the Guardian cat.
Yeah, A-Chan wears that. So
he made a joke. At first, when I was reading it, I didn't think it was funny. Like, I thought he was kind of being serious. But then the more I read, I was like, nah, this isn't real. This is a joke. So they asked him why he was wearing the Guardian cat. And he says he's worried about Tua. So he's trying to set a good example. I'm paraphrasing. So I'm trying to set a good example for him. He says, because instead of calling me Devin or Devon or whatever his name is, he said he called me Trevor. He's been calling me Trevor, and I'm trying to get him nuts.
That's funny. That is funny.
Yeah, it wasn't real. It was a joke. But he does wear it. Running backs take shots
constantly. That's what they do. Yeah. All right. Going with the bias. Going with the Dolphins.
Yes, sir.
Miami. Rams at Patriots. By a split score of 4.8 favors the Rams. Yeah, Ben, you're right. They looked a bit discombobulated last week, those Rams did.
Yeah,
they,
they're better than that. They're better
yeah,
than that.
yeah, not sure what's going on. And then the Patriots, what'd you say?
Hey, hey, hey. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't in favor of this Drake May thing. I think they're taking a big chance putting him out there. But if he can walk through this fire, I got to give him credit. I got to
Okay.
give him credit. So Rams are 4-5. They go to New England. New England's 3-7. The Rams offense was looking extremely efficient, scoring a total of 76 points during their 3-game win streak. Not only did their streak come to an end in their 23-15 home loss to the Dolphins, bad loss, they failed to score a touchdown. How crazy is that? Matt Stafford passed for 293 yards, and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp put up really nice numbers, great fantasy numbers if you had them, but they couldn't find the end zone. So they had to settle for 5 field goals by their kicker, Joshua Carty. Uh, that's not going to get it done. Now, I can't lie. I didn't see this one coming. The New England Patriots and third-round pick overall, Drake May, outplayed the Chicago Bears and first-round pick overall, Caleb Williams, in Chicago to
Much
the
better.
tune of 19-3. May wasn't great. He threw 1 touchdown, he threw 1 interception, but he did lead the Patriots on 5 scoring drives, and the Patriots defense had a field day. These boys came to play. 9 sacks, a brutal 13 quarterback hits on Caleb, an astounding 13 tackles for loss. Did Swift play? I don't, this is crazy. They basically throttled them boys. Their offense got nothing done. Anyhow, yeah, I don't think the Patriots are going to do that to the Rams. I think the Rams are going to make the West Coast, East Coast trip, and they're going to handle their business. I can't see McVay settling for that mess he saw last week. They're going to fix whatever was wrong with that offense, and they're going to come out guns blazing.
Going with the bias, going with the Rams. All righty. All right, so here's another potential intriguing game, Benny. Ravens at Steelers. Crazy division matchup. Bias plus score of 3.6 favors the Steelers. Now, Benny, I pulled together something. Let's see if I can find it real quick here. I wanted to mention it about the Steelers matchup with or against rather the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. Lamar versus the Steelers. Now I don't want to step on your stuff that you do too much, but apparently his record against the Steelers is not good. He's
Right.
1-3. His scoring per game average is 19.8. Now they were second in scoring in the 30s.
Right.
Completion percentage 58.8. 273.3 yards per game. His TD to turnover ratio, you ready for this? 4 TDs to 10 turnovers.
Oh,
Passer rating of 66.3. It is his worst performance against any opponent.
wow. That's called having somebody's number.
Man, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Woo.
Ravens at Steelers by a split score of 3.6 favors Steelers.
Yeah. The terrible towels are going to be flying. So back in week 5, the Ravens and the Bengals gave us one of the most competitive and exciting games of the season. The Ravens ended up winning the game in overtime, 41-38. Last Thursday night was the rematch, and they went at it again, and Baltimore was the winner once again. This time it was 35-34. This one was pretty much the Lamar Jackson show. So for all that stuff you just said about Lamar against the Steelers, let the Steelers take note. The Bengals defense decided that they weren't going to let Derrick Henry beat them. That was pretty evident. They held him to 68 yards. He only had 16 carries. Although he did get into the end zone once. They had no answer whatsoever for Lamar. He brought his squad back from 14 points down, scoring 28 points in the second half, and 21 of those 28 points all in the fourth quarter. 290 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. He was only hit once in the backfield, and he was never sacked. Untouchable. That's Lamar. That's the Lamar, hopefully, the Ravens bring when they go into Pittsburgh. Now, as far as the Steelers are concerned, with a 3-game winning streak and coming off the bye last week, they went to Washington to take on the red-hot Commanders. Russell Wilson completed 2 touchdown passes to Pat Freiermuth, their tight end. Both of those were in the first half. They had they were down 17-14 to the Commanders at halftime. In the second half, Russell Wilson tossed an interception, and Jaylen Warren lost a fumble. But the Pittsburgh defense kept Washington off the scoreboard in the fourth quarter, and Russ was able to chip away, get things back, and throw the winning score to newly acquired wide receiver Mike Williams, who they got at the trade deadline from the New York Jets. Here's the great thing about this touchdown pass. I think if you remember back to when Aaron Rodgers threw him under the bus, said he ran the wrong route, said he took he had a go route, but he took it inside and ran it up inside the numbers instead of on the red line. Now, a lot of people don't know what the red line is. There is no red line, obviously, on a football field. But on a lot of practice fields, there is a red line painted onto the field. It's approximately 3 yards from the sideline. That's to give the receivers an idea of how close they can get to the sideline without giving the advantage to the defensive back, who's going to try to nudge them out of bounds if, in fact, they get too close. So Aaron Rodgers said Mike Williams messed up the play by, instead of running the red line, he took his route inside the numbers. This touchdown that Russ threw to him was a red line fade. It was perfect. The exact route almost that he was supposed to run for Aaron Rodgers. Well, he did it right this time, and he got the score, and they won the game. This is a really tough one to call. Steelers got the bias, so you know I'm going to try not to go with the bias on this one. I think the Ravens are going to take them. I think this is the game where people are going to say, oh, I don't know, Russ might be falling off. We'll see. But I'm going to go with the Ravens.
All right, going against the bias, going against the history that Lamar Jackson has against the Steelers, and going with the Ravens. All right.